Picture this. You're walking down a quiet, misty street on a damp Victorian night. Out of absolutely nowhere, an intricate iron gate stands before you, locked in the darkness, right where there was just an empty field the day before. There are no loud announcements, no colorful posters pasted to brick walls, no advertisements whatsoever. A massive, mysterious, black and white circus has just materialized out of thin air. Today, in this explainer, we're diving deep into a world wrapped in magic, intense competition, and a dark, dreamlike atmosphere where literally nothing is quite what it seems. We are exploring the mesmerizing world of Erin Morgenstern's The Night Circus. Imagine the smell of roasting caramel and rich smoke drifting through the night air. You see hundreds of flickering candles illuminating these towering, incredibly stark black and white striped tents. But discovering a circus that just appears without warning, that's really only the tip of the iceberg. You see, this place only opens after sunset and it completely vanishes at sunrise. It operates entirely outside the normal bounds of reality, a place of deep shadows and hidden secrets that just pulls you in with this hypnotic, almost magnetic gravity. And the name of this place is just as mesmerizing as its sudden arrival. Le Cirque des Rêves, the Circus of Dreams. Walking through those wrought iron gates, you're promised impossible illusions, sprawling enchanted gardens, and experiences that completely defy human logic. But don't let the swirling clouds of smoke and the breathtaking sights fool you for a second. We're going to pull back the curtain here, because hiding just out of sight, right behind all this magnificent magic, is something deeply, deeply unsettling. What the awestruck audience doesn't know, and what no one simply buying a ticket for a night of entertainment could ever possibly suspect, is that this gorgeous wonderland, it's actually a vicious, deadly arena. The entire circus is nothing more than a stage for a high-stakes, magical competition between two young magicians. And honestly, here is the absolute tragedy of the whole thing. Neither of these magicians actually chose to compete. They are trapped. And worse, neither of them has any idea how this twisted game is actually supposed to end. So how did they get here? Well, this lifelong game started years before the circus was even a concept. It kicked off when two incredibly powerful rival mentors, Prospero the Enchanter and a mysterious man in a gray suit, known only as Alisdair, made a wager. But instead of just battling it out themselves, they did something terrible. They ripped two innocent children away from their normal lives to act as their proxies. Prospero chose his very own daughter, Celia, while Alisdair picked an orphaned boy named Marco. They locked these kids into a lifelong contest, raising them entirely separate from one another, and telling them next to nothing about their opponent. All they knew was that one day they would have to compete. Now, what's really fascinating here is the staggering contrast between how these two competitors were forged into weapons. Celia Bowen was subjected to absolutely cruel, agonizing physical training by her father. He forced her to literally bend reality itself, pushing her to the breaking point before ultimately abandoning her. Marco Alisdair, on the other hand, his training was completely intellectual. Alisdair taught him through dusty books and ancient symbols, cultivating a magic that is quiet, hidden, and deeply, deeply complex. So you have Celia, who physically and visibly manipulates the world around her, squaring off against Marco, who operates completely from the shadows. So where do they actually fight this invisible war? The circus, of course. But the crazy part is, the mentors didn't even build it. It was actually the brainchild of an eccentric, ridiculously wealthy dreamer named Chandrish Christophe Lefebvre. He just wanted to create something extraordinary, a sprawling venue of magical tents and an enormous, wildly complex ticking clock. But without ever realizing it, Chandrish basically handed these magicians the absolute perfect, unsuspecting arena. Celia and Marco embed themselves right into the fabric of the circus, and the thousands of innocent, clueless visitors wandering the grounds, they just think they're watching highly talented performers totally oblivious to the magical, heavy artillery being volleyed back and forth right in front of their eyes. For years, this goes on. They keep adding new, completely impossible attractions, constantly responding to each other's magical moves. Celia might create a stunning, impossible garden, and then Marco responds by manifesting a sprawling, intricate labyrinth of ice. They are fighting, yes, but through this process, they are also intimately learning about one another through the magic they leave behind in these tents. But there was one major rule their cruel mentors completely failed to anticipate. Despite a lifetime of conditioning designed to make them destroy each other, something completely unexpected happens when they finally meet face to face. Instead of striking each other down in some grand magical duel, they fall into this hauntingly beautiful courtship. And this is crucial. Their love actually becomes an act of pure rebellion.
By falling for each other, they are flat out refusing to accept the violent destinies forced upon them by their fathers. They don't communicate with weapons or attacks. They communicate through escalating, wondrous magical attractions built specifically to delight the other person. It's an incredible dynamic. Their love fundamentally challenges the entire twisted architecture of the game they were trapped in.
But here's the catch, and it's a massive one. This breathtaking romance is essentially a death sentence. The obscure, unwritten rules of their mentor's game absolutely do not allow for a tie, and they sure don't allow for a happy partnership. As Celia and Marco start digging deeper into the actual mechanics of this competition, they uncover a terrifying reality. The contest might require one of them to lose absolutely everything, and simply throwing the fight and surrendering, that just guarantees their own destruction. It's just two magicians, two people in love, yet these two individuals are essentially holding an entire community hostage without meaning to. The magic that keeps the circus running, that keeps the fires burning and the tents standing, is deeply, inextricably tied to Celia and Marco. If they break apart, the whole circus comes crashing down. That means innocents are suddenly tangled up in their dangerous magic. We're talking about people like the twins, Poppet and Widget, who were born on opening night and have their own unusual abilities. Or Bailey, just an ordinary, wonderfully curious kid drawn into this world by his own imagination. You see, in this world, magic is never, ever free. Every extraordinary illusion, every manipulated reality comes with a heavy, sometimes devastating consequence. The circus isn't just a place anymore. It has become a living, breathing, magical system. Celia and Marco's very lives are the pillars holding up its structure. So, if the competition ends the way the mentors intended, with one of them being destroyed, the resulting collapse of that magical system will be utterly catastrophic for everyone trapped inside those black and white stripes. The boundary between the magician's deadly game and the actual lives of the performers has completely vanished. Backed into a corner and trapped by these ancient rules, Celia and Marco realize a hard truth. They can't just pack up and walk away. To protect this beautiful circus they've built, to save innocent kids like Poppet, Widget, and Bailey, and to finally defy the cruel puppet masters who viewed them as nothing more than disposable game pieces, a terrible sacrifice has to be made. They have to figure out a way to break the system from the inside out. They have to pay a bittersweet, ultimate price to keep the dream alive, without destroying the person they love. What they ultimately achieve is profound. They manage to break the hands of fate. When you look past the swirling smoke and the intricate illusions, this isn't just a story about magic tricks. It's about a deeply human struggle we can all relate to, escaping the rigid roles created for us by other people. Celia and Marco reframe their sacrifice as the ultimate victory over fate itself. They prove that the most powerful, earth-shattering act of magic isn't pulling a rabbit out of a hat or building a tent out of thin air. It's reclaiming your free will from the people who tried to control you. It's the radical act of choosing your own destiny. Which leaves us with a lingering, haunting thought to carry with you long after the circus tents have packed up and vanished into the morning mist. If you stumbled upon a magical circus that appeared only at night, you'd almost certainly step inside, right? But what if you discovered that your entire life, every major choice and milestone, had been carefully planned by someone else? What would you do? Would you quietly follow the rules written for you? Or would you, like Celia and Marco, risk absolutely everything to change your destiny? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, keep questioning the rules.